Okay. Sorry about that.
And we're back.
We are back. Hopefully no one's asleep. We're not boring anybody.
Yeah.
So where were we?
So we were talking about how we interact as a goalkeepers union off the field. Look, right now with the world kind of being day to day, I'll even bring it back to, we do Wednesday and Saturday coffee meetings via Zoom. So, and that's along with our goalkeeper coach, and then all of our goalkeepers, Kyle In, Cooper Clark.
In or Ein?
I just call him In. I don't
Kyle
know.
In, you heard it here first.
Yeah. But look, I generally have a lot of love for these guys. The position itself, you have to, getting back to the topic of empathy, right? There's nobody behind us in terms of, and that's not to sound, I'm not sounding pompous or what have you, but it's a mentality of, look, you know, you could be and don't take this the wrong way, Jordy, you could be a striker and miss 9 out of your 10 chances, right? And be looked at as great. But if you were a goalkeeper and miss 9 out of 10 chances, you should do something else in life.
I don't take offense by that at all. You're 100% right with that.
You know, so I think we all kind of know what that's like mentally, and that allows you to be a little bit more caring and understanding. And I just genuinely like the personality of our goalkeepers, and most goalkeepers that I've come in contact with. I mean, they're intelligent people. They're willing to put themselves out there. They're willing to bet on themselves, and they're, for right or wrong, they're going to be critiqued on their work on a week-to-week basis.
And they're crazy.
Yeah. Yes.
Goalkeepers are crazy.
Yeah.
So next is from one of my players currently. He's an attacking player, and this kind of hits home for me as well. I think outside of the complete opposites, goalkeeper and striker are related, because basically I'm trying to score the angles that you can't get to, and you're trying to stop the angles that I can't finish with. And so Gabby Privatera asked, do you have any tips from a goalkeeper to a striker? What do you look for in a striker? So when you're in goal and I'm coming at you, what are you going through? Yeah, so
the way I go about dealing with like a one-on-one situation, could I frame it like that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so from a one-on-one perspective, I want to put the attacker under as much pressure as possible, as early as possible. Okay. I don't want to give them an opportunity to, you know, pick out their preferred foot, pick out their preferred corner. You know, I want that whole process to be sped up. And I want them to be uncomfortable, and possibly it's the psychological side of the game. You want to be able to you want to make them make a move that they're not comfortable.
So as a striker, you want to be as in control and confident as possible.
Yes.
So my advice would be, basically, look at the goalkeeper's position, have an idea, stick to your instinct, and don't change that.
Right, exactly.
You're basically looking for something that can throw them off to make them uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm looking to close down an angle. I'm looking to close them down just in general as early as I possibly can. We're talking about angles here, right? So, you know, if they're a left footer, a harder shot most likely is for them to go across their body, right? Right. So can I give them that only option? Because from a goalkeeping perspective, you're going to give up something.
Yep, for sure.
Right? Can I mitigate what is considered the easy shot?
Yep. So as a striker, I would say is simplify it as much as possible. That option that he's giving you, if you can put it in the very bottom corner, even if he saves it, there's a good chance there's following up or a corner kick.
You put it on, you put it on target, right? You know, the keeper has to make either a good save or puts it out for a corner, which could possibly lead to another opportunity on goal, or makes the rebound and it's put back on goal again. So. Yeah, making us as goalkeepers work, you know, I think you'll always have some sort of success.
So I tell them a lot, body language. The keepers will look at your eyes and your hips, and that'll show the world where you're going to go. So let's say outside of a 1v1 situation, and I've got the ball as center midfielder at the top of the box, are you watching my body language? Are you watching the runs? Are you bringing everything into play?
Oh, yeah. So peripherally, I see the runs. Okay. I look at where defensively people are lining up, right? And I say, all right, are you a right-footed player or a left-footed player? And this is all going on as the plays happen.
Very quickly.
Right. And then here's another one for the preparation. I'm watching film on a player, right? And I know he's a right-footed player. He likes to bring it across the 18 and get that whip on it to where I'm diving to my left.
So you know everything about it.
Yeah. You can almost sense that happening. So you kind of prepare yourself. Okay, slide with him, slide with him, slide with him. Okay, go, right? Because he's gotten that shot off.
So you're so deep into the game that you know how to anticipate those little things.
You get to that point. Yeah, you definitely get to that point. I mean, look, we do a lot of work on penalty kicks, right? And you know, it doesn't work out more times than it does work out. But last year it worked out a couple times, right? Where we preserved the win through that. So you're not, by no means, don't get me wrong. You're not going to be 100% all the time. But are you putting yourself in the position, the actual physical position in the goal to make the save based off of what tendencies the player has?
I think that's something that a lot of people need to see, is that you need to watch the game to be more than just a good player. You need to watch your position. You need to see when the ball's not around. You need to see the little things. You need to see that instead of just making a run to goal, I'll loop my run so now this defender can't see me and the ball, and now I have the space. So that's as a striker's perspective, of course.
Right. Well, I'll say from a striker's perspective, the more movement inside especially in the 18, right, the harder it is. And it doesn't have to be these big looping movements, right? It could be literally 2 steps and drop back.
Exactly.
And that created the space for that ball to be dropped in for you to get a clean strike on goal, and to have me or whoever's in goal have to make a save.
And at that level, you can expect that guy to be able to play that ball because you've given him that much space.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think what it comes down to is worrying more about what you're going to do, knowing that the keeper has to cover each angle, but you have to know this game. If you don't watch your position, like not just Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi doing tricks and scoring goals, you have to watch 90 minutes every weekend. Yeah. At least. Yeah. I don't think I've missed a Premier League game this year. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's something that goes back to being a student of the game, you know? And, you know, and again, not just looking at the elite of the elite, because you have to be honest, Cristiano and Messi are in they're out of this world.
They're aliens, yep.
Right, they're aliens, right? So why don't you have a look at the USL level? Have a look at, you know, the elite college level or the League One level, right? You can pick up, you might call me a homer because I play in the league, but there's a lot of good talent in this league.
Oh, very, very good. See, no one understands this side of it. I mean, I worked with basically a college type agency, and he was saying this kid needs to go MLS, this kid needs to go MLS, and I said, hey, maybe you just get him involved in the USL program. And they're like, why? Because every single player that I played with or against was unbelievably talented.
Of course. Of course, and that's the thing. It's a stigma that I think is going by the wayside. But if you want to talk about MLS, look, the numbers of young American talent that are actually getting meaningful minutes in the MLS is shrinking, right? So where can those players go and thrive? Right, the USL. So that's the other thing, is like, just because you're on the MLS, like, what's better? Are you getting minutes at the USL, or are you just a roster player on an MLS team?
I'll tell you this. I wanted to put in the MLS, but if you can't, like I said, it goes back to levels. If you can't be a guy that starts every game as a striker, that's the leading scorer of your team, leading scorer of your conference, leading scorer of the league, you have to be the leading scorer of the league to get to the MLS. Right. And if you can't consistently do it there, then you can't get to that next level. And there's going to be some people that go and do a trial and then get there. And, like, I'm not saying don't dream, but I'm saying be a realist and know that even USL 1 is a very high level. I know some players in that league that, like Woj. Woj is arguably one of the best goal scorers in the league in USL, and now he's playing at USL 1. And I'll tell you right now, Woj is a better player than I was by a mile. And that's where I look at these things, and I'm like, obviously a different player, but people need to take their ego and put it away. If you want to be a pro, then you need to go and earn it at every level.
and that's another thing that's a really good point to touch on is that and I think we all know players who kind of are um, they are just constantly on trial somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Constantly on trial. Well,
So many.
you're not building anything, right? You're not, and that's what I'm a big believer in. Get in where you fit in, right?
Mm-hmm.
If a club wants you, do everything in your power to stay there as long as you possibly can and build your career,
Mm-hmm.
right? Don't just if you're fortunate enough to have an opportunity or an option to say, look, long-term contract versus year to year. And of course, I'm not giving blanket advice. This is a general advice. Find somewhere that wants you and stay as long as you possibly can.
That is good advice though, because I will say I do regret. I mean, albeit financially, it wouldn't have worked because the wages were just. I mean,
Right.
USL a couple of years ago, but
Right.
I wish I would have taken that option in OKC because outside of the football, I felt the love of the city. I felt the love of my
Yeah.
teammates. I felt the love of the fans, the coaches,
Mm-hmm.
the assistant coaches. I loved everything about it, and that's where I kind of lead back to my point before is you can't expect to be a starter right away. And
Mm-hmm.
although I thought there was times where it should have for sure been my time, I am a player and I need to earn that. And when I do, I can go from there. And if I had a year or two, would things have changed? Maybe, but would they have not? I'm not sure. But you come back to finding a place where you're happy. And as a coach right now, I'm happy here, and I obviously want to grow. But I have a place where I can be successful, and I think you found the same home, and so we're trying to build something where we are.
100%. Look,
But
Jordan,
you have to be happy.
Jordan, you're positively impacting young adults,
Yeah.
right? You're able to affect their trajectory in life. That is the ultimate. And you're able to have this perspective on things that others aren't because they haven't gone through it. They haven't lived it,
Mm-hmm.
right? They haven't had the downs and then the ups and then the subsequent downs, right? So you are in a place that is, from my standpoint, is admirable because you are able to, like I said, impact through experience, right? It's not blind preaching, right? It's understanding through experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're able to get through to these young, impressionable minds. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Coaches, I think I appreciate that a lot, and that makes me. That's the reason I'm doing this, and as a coach, and then I want to continue to grow. And I think there's coaches that I look up to in the pro world, like Rob Valentino, that do the same thing. And
Yeah,
I think to me that's where a lot of coaches in America need to kind of take a look in the mirror and say, look, in the big scheme of things,
mm-hmm.
it's not about me winning a state cup. It's about
Right,
can these kids go to where they want to be? And
right,
look, I won the conference this year, but there's a lot of things that I didn't win. And at the end of the day, I look back at it and where my guys are going and where they've gone is way better than they were before. And so I look at this
right,
as my most successful year I've ever had. But
right.
you have to look in the mirror and look that coaching isn't winning. Coaching is making players and people improve. And
Of
the
course.
sooner you can see that, then the sooner there's going to be success in American soccer.
100%. I mean, we see it at a pro level, and I'm not taking anything away from the people who have their A license or what have you.
Yeah.
But this they're losing the human element to all of this. In favor of X's and O's. It's an old saying, but it's about the Jimmies and the Joes, not the X's and the O's. Right.
Yep.
This is a team endeavor, right? And having a framework is great, but then going down to a statistical analysis to where I'm getting it presented to me and I'm falling asleep because I'm just like, I mean, not like there's something to be said about that too, where there's so much emphasis on obtaining your A license or what have you, and going to the look. I get it. There's a time and a place for that, but
Mm-hmm.
if you want to come into a locker room of men and of men who have done it at a high level, international footballers, right? You have to be relatable.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not really like, I'm not specifically pointing out
No,
any
I know
one experience.
exactly what you mean.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm using this from just interactions with former teammates that we've had or players that I know around the MLS, the USL, abroad. The human element in all of this is important as well.
Yeah, and two, I'd say my three favorite managers of all time, Pochettino and Pep, because basically that human element and then how much love they have by their
Mm-hmm.
player. And then someone that I didn't see coach, but through research and someone that I really admire is Johan Cruyff, and
Mm-hmm.
he taught Pep basically how to be a manager, and he said, "You can be the best player in the world, but best manager in the world, but it's always about the person first and not the player."
Look at have you seen the Last Dance, the Jordan thing?
I've started to watch it. I'm behind everybody else though.
Yeah,
So
that's one of the things that I've taken away from the interviews with Phil Jackson.
yeah, exactly.
He's able to get through. He understands the Dennis Rodman. He understands Michael Jordan, the Scottie Pippen, right? I'm not saying it's the only reason, right? Because those are out of this world talents. Those are out of this world talents.
Yes.
But the aspect of understanding personality, understanding people, understanding that one's life experience is different than the other, right?
That's a problem I've had in the past is that I'll be the first to tell you that you coach people differently, and some people won't like that, but I can't coach myself the same way that I'm going to coach someone like, I'm not going to use any names, but someone that couldn't handle it. And
right.
I know there's people that you have to go and put your arm around or they'll crumble. Mm-hmm. But if you do, they'll be the best players. And then there's going to be people that you have to be extremely hard on and you can't let them out. And like Sir Alex Ferguson is an incredible manager, but he wouldn't go and be like, "Hey man, he's a guy that pushes you based off your personality and how it's going to get."
Right. And then and the other thing from a professional standpoint is putting personalities in a locker room that can govern themselves. Mm-hmm. That kind of leads back to this statistical analysis of the game that is taking place, where okay, your pass percentage to the left-hand side of the field is 80%. Well, you could save that, right? The personalities in the locker room should have this level of accountability that when you step on the field, you are working together as a unit and not needing this. Oh well, I better pass it to the left because I'm more successful when I pass it to the left. No, like that.
Because I'm not going to play if I'm 8 out of 10. But
right, exactly.
I know. I think it's so instinctual in the game of soccer that you can't. I mean, there's certain positions that you should be getting consistently 60, 70, 80%. But if you start to limit the way people play and their imagination, and I mean, you'll know that I'm someone I won't take more than 3 touches in a game. I want to score anything around the box. I'm deadly. But then I'll see a player like Peter Toth, who is one of the most skillful players I played with. And if I were to coach Peter, I would never limit him because I don't want to take his imagination away. Mm-hmm. Rather, I'd add what I knew. And because if you can bring both of them in, he's going to excel.
Right.
And you can't take away what people have. That's the biggest thing is that you can't take imagination out.
Yeah, you need to empower the individual.
Yes, sir.
Not right. This is the way it is and get in, fit in or else. It's okay. How can we empower this person how can we get through to this person to have the most success?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree. Okay, I got a little game and then I want to ask some questions and then we'll wrap this up. Cool. All right, so Cody Laurendi is, in my opinion, DJ Laurendi when I was in OKC. He always had the tunes. Always had the aux cord, always had the tunes. And so basically I'm going to go through a list of places and I want to know what song you would play for what time, if that makes sense.
Ooh, okay. All right.
Okay. So we'll start with in the locker room for pre-training.
Pre-training. Route 94, I Got You. It's the dance. It's a good beats per minute type. It's you get everybody bobbing their head, ready to go.
So we just walked in the locker room.
You got to think, Well, you got to think it's early in the morning. People are stumbling into training, tired maybe. So you got to keep it light, but at the same time, it's like, all right, let's get this blood going. Let's get let's get ready to work.
Because you got 5v2 in about 20 minutes. That's
right. Exactly.
I like it. Yeah. Okay, now pre-match.
Ooh, pre-match. Pre-match would be. I've been on this one for the past couple of weeks. Rough Riders Anthem by DMX.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that one. I like. I don't generally like to get too pumped up, too amped up. Part of the game, I like the cerebral kind of stay level-headed, focused. But every now and again, man, I just get, stop, drop, shut
All
up.
right, everyone in the USL know that Laurendi's in a mood right now. All right, so now we're gonna have a fitness session. What are you playing before a fitness session?
Let's see. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
School of Rock.
Yep.
It's a long way to the top. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, you're grilling. You're on the grill. What are you playing?
Little iration.
All right. Okay.
Little Bob Marley action.
Okay.
Something chill, something relaxed. Keep, enjoying the moment. Making sure I don't burn the hot dogs.
You won't. You're a master on the grill. I know that for sure. All right. What about in the shower?
Ooh, in the shower. Little Craig David action. Little call like 7 days. Ooh.
You can't go wrong with Craig,
Yeah.
Craig David.
Craig David.
Oh my gosh. Hey, Craig David, if you're watching this.
Yeah. I think he was on the first Instagram live. I don't know.
I saw you tuned in. So, what about in the car?
I don't listen to music in the car generally. I'm a podcaster in the car.
Oh, Real Talk with Rideout podcast.
Yeah. I'll be logging on. I'll be listening to that.
What other podcasts you listen to?
Rogan's up there.
Yep.
He always has. What I like about him is he doesn't just have people on that he agrees with. Right, He has the spectrum of people, and I think that's important.
And you'll learn every time. Have you heard Peter Crouch's podcast?
Whose?
Peter Crouch.
No, he has one.
Everyone, I'm inspired by this podcast a little bit by 3 podcasts. Peter Crouch's podcast.
Yeah.
Mark Davis is a coach at Salt Lake Community College. They're one of the top programs with us. He has, I believe it's called. I'll have to figure that out. And the last podcast is Stateside Techers, which is Elliot Goodwin, who was at St. Louis when I was there. He basically talks about the life of players stateside, so people in England can get into that. So those are the 3 that I shout out. But I got to give you one more song. We are in Las Vegas after we beat Rio OKC on an OKC Energy team trip. We're in the limo. We're going to the hotel. What are you playing?
Oh man. This is a CJ Cochran favorite.
I know it. Sweet.
Sweet Lovin' by Sagala.
Every time I hear the sweet on that, I think of CJ Cochran as well. Every single time. Sweet
Love. It just that just brings back great memories. Obviously, the beats per minute. You're pumping. You're having a great time. You're celebrating achievement, right? I think that's something that is another important thing. Is like kind of if you're going out, if you're celebrating every weekend, celebrate achieving something, and what we achieved by taking down what was that year our rival in state. It made everything that much better.
For those that don't know, basically USL and NASL both had a Rio OKC made a team in Oklahoma City. Energy had been there. It is basically Oklahoma is owned by OKC Energy, in my opinion. Sorry Tulsa, sorry Rio. And there was a U.S. Open Cup match, and we played against each other. And basically we were promised a trip to Vegas as a team if we won the game, and Kyle Hyland came up with a header. Short little Kyle came up with a header.
Yeah, exactly.
And we won, and thank you to OKC management, because that was one of the best trips I've ever had.
They really wanted us. They really wanted us to win that one, and that was what an incredible experience, both on the field and then a couple weeks later on the plane. And
yeah, Giorgio Samaras, remember him?
Oh yeah, not for nothing, because that game got chippy, right? 2 red cards, I think.
There was 3 or 4 red cards they had.
Yeah. So, yeah. but that guy at least had some sense about him to be like, hey, well done.
Yeah, he was a respectful guy.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so we'll finish with some questions. These are from people that basically logged in. A couple of them are strange, but here's one that I personally would like to know as well. Is I know you were nominated for Goalkeeper of the Year for the CONCACAF, and you were nominated alongside Keylor Navas, who is at Real Madrid. Unbelievable goalkeeper.
Yep.
Who are the best players you played against and you played with?
Played against, I'd say Landon Donovan, because we would train against each other. Robbie Keane.
Okay.
Got a good story. Robbie Keane chipped me from half field in front of like 15,000 people.
Love
So
it. It's on your resume.
at the time, I just wanted to crawl underneath the ground and never show my face again. But look, not many people could say that.
Did you learn from it?
Of course, of course.
There you go.
Yeah. And then teammates that I've played with. A gentleman by the name of Nick Adlery, and Nick is Jamaican international. He's older. He's been retired for years now. Big striker. Knew how to use his body correctly. Was always in the right position. And not only was he great on the field, but off the field, he was an older player who took me in and kind of helped me look at life outside of football, outside of soccer. And to this day, like we talk, Nick is based in Atlanta. He's now a business owner, right? He's still involved in the game in a coaching aspect. But he was somebody when I was 19 or 20 years of age who not only did the business on the field, but off the field, he was as consistent as they come.
Amazing.
Yeah, so he was somebody who he was an unbelievable presence, and teams. I think the ultimate compliment for players when teams game plan against you.
Yeah.
You know that's like why, so, and that's something that they did constantly because he was so good at holding the ball up, and we played a very direct style, right? There was no 20, 30, 40 passes in a build up, if you will, and an opportunity on goal. But he knew what he was good at, and he doubled down. He was always difficult to play against in small sided in trainings.
So he would have been the same level if it was today's game with the modern day.
100%. 100%. Yeah. Think of a stronger Woj.
Okay.
Yeah, stronger Woj. Great with his feet.
Okay.
Right. And just somebody that you always had to keep tabs on, and if he held you as a defender, knew where you were going, good luck.
Don't get big-headed, Woj. I know you will. This is from Cassidy Denton. She said,
"Oh yes, I know.
Cody used to give me privates when I was younger. Do you remember me?"
Of course. And when we go down to Austin, Texas this year, hopefully be able to see you again. They came and they supported us when we were San Antonio away.
Okay.
We were teammates.
So she knew you from when you were at Austin Aztecs.
Correct.
Okay.
And I used to do private lessons. We worked together, and just a great family. Really kind people.
I'm sure she's a good goalie right now.
She's gonna be. I think she plays volleyball as well. She's gonna be an outstanding player.
Yeah. Keep an eye out.
Yeah.
All right. How much agility work do you do?
A lot.
A lot.
A lot. That's actually the bulk of our training.
So what types of stuff?
So we're bringing the hurdles out. I think I'm a big believer in ladder work. Again, I'm a bigger person, but I like to think that I got good feet.
You're very good feet.
And not just receiving a pass. I'm not saying just that, but I'm saying, in and out of tight spaces, body control. So yeah, we utilize a lot of ladder work, a lot of hurdle work, cone work, that type of thing, and it's all centered around the fitness that we will face in a match. I think it's counterproductive to say, all right, keepers, go run 4 laps, go run 8 laps, right? That's not realistic. It's the getting down to your side, getting up, hopping over, dealing with an obstructed view of a shot, all those things. That's keeper specific. So that's
so now more than ever, you can't just be a good shot stopper. You can't.
Oh, right, exactly.
You have to. Every single thing has to come into play.
Exactly.
I mean, I remember we had a sand volleyball court at our apartment complex in OKC, and I would go to the gym every day, and I would walk by it, and Cody and CJ would be there, and Cody would be there with one hand behind his back, and he'd be catching. CJ would be hitting balls, and you just stopping miles an hour, and it was every single day. And when you build that kind of consistency, you see it at the pro level. And I think with you, agility, little things like that, little things where you've got to a half a ball on the ground and you're going against the wall. And I see you doing it all the time, and I think these kids need to see this as well.
And just so people know, the reason why I like to do those type of drills as hand-eye coordinators and stuff is you're never, and this goes back to training, you're never going to face a straight-on shot unobstructed, right? So if I'm able to pick out a tennis ball or a racket ball smacked off, from 15 yards away from me, right, where it's hard to see, that's you're training yourself to see to anticipate what you're going to see in the games, right? You're not going to see, a lot of the times the flight of the ball, you see it late, right? It goes past defenders, so you're obstructed that way. You maybe see a portion of the ball and you have less than a half a second to react. So that's why we work a lot on that, on reactionary stuff, and trying to make it as difficult as possible. That way, when you come into the game and you face an obstructed shot, which you always will in a match or in small-sided, you're not caught off guard.
There you go.
Yeah,
I like it. All right, 2 more.
Okay.
This one you might not know at all, but it's from Foley Fitness PT. It said, "What is the secret to the backwards pile driver?"
Oh man, he asked that.
I have no idea what that
So it was a training session that we were doing. It's silly. It was this wrestling thing that we were doing out of training down in PR, and I wound up actually hurting him. So
You got hurt?
Yeah.
So you're not happy about this question?
No.
Last one. What's the biggest piece of advice you can give to a young goalkeeper looking to go pro?
Oh, that's a good one. I would have to say be as persistent with your day-to-day life as you possibly can. Be as focused as you possibly can. Don't let one person's opinion of you kind of define who you are, and what you're about. And stay the course. Look, you're not going to achieve things in a day, in 24 hours, and you shouldn't be in a rush to get through this. Right? This is a year on a year type of endeavor, if you will. So try to get marginally better day in and day out.
Perfect.
And take the small victories, man. The small victories. It doesn't have to be massive. You don't have to move mountains, if you will. Am I getting a little bit better every single day? You
said one thing to me, and you always say it now, and you're always going to be someone that I continue to look up to. But you said if you get 1% better every day, then you're 5% better in a year. And it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's in your field or not. If you get better in some way, then you're going to be so much better in the long run. And I think the biggest thing you can take out of this is that hard work, head down, no excuses. You got to put in the work, and you got to know that life isn't easy. But if you trust the process and you know that you're going to sacrifice, you're going to fail, it's not going to be this, and you might not make it. But if you know that you can fail, it's a beautiful journey, and I think that we've outlined that really well.
100%. Yeah, you have to kind of be accepting with the idea of time is going to pass no matter what. I'll either at the end of this thing have the mentality of, I'd rather have the mentality of, oh, well, than what if.
There you go. Absolutely. 100%. Well, I'll say this. For a first episode, it's been an absolute pleasure. Someone that doesn't really do this often. You can see who's more well-spoken out of the two.
Jordy, you're gonna do great, bro. You're gonna do great.
Brother.
You're at a point, like I said, that you positively impacting people's lives, and you're doing it through your own personal experience, which is something that is going to take you extremely, extremely far, man.
Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you, and I love you, brother. I think you've got a brighter future than you've had before, and I wish you all the best with your recovery from rehab, and I know that you're going to kill it.
Thanks, brother. Love you, man.
All right, love you.
See you guys.
See you guys. Thank you.